Okay. All right. So as I mentioned before, we're going to be looking at Tyten. So it's been a very, very long time since I've watched him. I know I've done some critiques for him, and I feel like I've done at least one for him in Ultimate. So I did briefly somewhat watch what was going on, and it's actually kind of funny, especially when we get to the Green Ninja matches. He actually performs like duck hunt ledge camping, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen that actually worked. But like, I don't think it's something that you could really ever do consistently. So when I get to that, I'll point that out. But for now, we're going to be looking at the first two games. I believe this was I think these were like two best of threes, at least kind of the way that they were spliced together. Because we got four games in total, and he did lose every single one of them. Um, but it should give us a pretty good idea about how his sets were really going. One of them, like, he just completely threw away the entire game, which that was really sad to see. But anyways, Duck Hunt, Young Link. As I've mentioned before, like, this is kind of one of those where Young Link, if he gets in, he can pressure your shield really well just because he's really, really safe. And his startup is pretty good, all things considered, that his nair is fast and his bear is fast. So in the air, he's fast. On the ground, his jab is actually decently fast too. It's just the main thing with him is that he lacks range, and that's where you can take advantage of him. And while he does have a disjoint, it really only comes into play when he does like up air, down air, and then of course his zair and then his grab. That's kind of really the only time he's ever going to truly be outranging you. Otherwise, like, you'll either just like outrange him or you'll just trade. There's not going to really be any situations where that disjoint's going to matter too much. The other thing too is you can set up like a lot of different traps to make sure that his projectiles can't get past you, particularly with gunmen, and then setting Ken in like some particular positions as well. And when he's just projectile spamming you, what you do is you wait for him to leave an opening during his projectile spam, because like whenever he starts something, he's stuck in that animation for a decent amount of time. Most of the time he's like locked into an animation for 40 frames. And like when you see a particular pattern with how he's doing it, and you can bait him out by putting your projectiles in certain areas, you can start to rush him during the startup animation of certain points, and then it's basically like a guaranteed opening. So being able to recognize those is very important, and not to mention arrows get very stale, so you can just kind of plow through those depending on how he's using them. So we'll see exactly what he does, because I wasn't paying too much attention, but we'll figure it out. What's up, Wolfers? Gotcha. No, you didn't miss it. You came in just at the perfect time. Also, as usual, let me know how the volume is. Yeah, that should have been like another up air right there. It's just a true combo. So yeah, now that we've got Anchor Can enabled, like, he doesn't really have to worry about like approaching much. And if anything, he could set up a gunman for free and then ping the can over it, so that way he can get like a free gunman in terms of the shot. Also, yeah, it's never a good idea to just do an aerial on top of Young Link, because basically if you're falling down with Nair, as you guys all know, that hitbox is absolutely atrocious. So that's like the one time where Young Link's disjoint's going to come into play, because like up tilt will flat out beat Nair, and so does up air. So there's not really a real way for you to land on top of Young Link. You just kind of have to hope he swings and misses. So that's why I wouldn't really recommend just kind of spamming aerials as you're coming down. Yeah, so he got hit with 2 arrows, so that means he can clay pigeon through every single fire arrow at this point. So that's not going to be a bad thing to keep in mind. It's just, you always got to keep your eyes on the boomerangs. Yeah, you got to be ready to air dodge those, but I know on Wi-Fi you can't exactly react to it. You got to predict it. So that can be really annoying. That's actually one thing that I keep forgetting to tell people, is that when he is going for like up beyond the ground, which should almost never happen, you can't just clay pigeon right through it, because like the multi-hits are just not going to break it. You can also do that too if he's at def percent. Yeah, if he's just so whenever you have Young Link and he's just going to sit back here and like spam projectiles, because like he was just kind of safe in his corner there. Yeah, like right then you just throw out another gunman, because like that thing's just like launching at you. Because like, look, if he threw out a gunman there, tanks the arrow, the gunman's not going to go down. He jumped and boomerang. that gunman would have tanked that boomerang as well, and then he would have been able to jump up and fair him very easily. And like the thing you need to keep in mind is the only reason why that gunman went down is because he decided to charge up his arrow, which for the most part that's not really happening in this matchup. Like just like a few niche times. Yeah, like please don't spam paging. Also, the other thing too is like, you don't want to move with rolls because like you could replace all of those rolls with just dashing. And if he leaves himself open, you can very easily just like kind of jump back and back air him or jump back and up air him. So like that's just way more advantageous to be in versus just locking yourself to a roll, which it limits your distance. And also the more that you roll, the more end lag that you give yourself in the future. So you really don't want to be doing that. And you should never be using clay pigeon to combo break yourself. Like that's just not good. Especially with how fast Yink moves. Like, you have to have, like, the most clutch read in the entire world for that to work. And he has to be, like, in a position where you can actually capitalize off of it. Yeah, again, the drifting in's kind of an issue. And you can't reaction air dodge on live. You can only do that offline. There we go. Yeah, you gotta be quicker. Like if you fastfall Naird or fastfall Baird, you would have been able to catch him there. Oh yeah, that was way too much of a read. There's like two things. So you're at death percent. So when you're at like at a percent like this, you do not want to be going for those clutch reads. Just because like you're gambling the entire game off of that when you can very much still bring it back. So there's no reason to put yourself in like any of those like tight situations unless like you got something like a jab block or like you just know his roll patterns or his disadvantage patterns. Especially since he's at 49%. Like if you're at the very ledge, that would have killed. But like from there, as long as he had good DI, he should have lived that. So you gotta be a little bit careful. All right, yeah, that was game one. Just kind of a lot of careless interactions. And I know, like, I have a feeling you probably were trying to reaction air dodge when you were, like, at the ledge on the side when, like, he edge guarded you with, like, fair. And I think he killed you with, like, an up B too. Or if not, they're both fairs. On Wi-Fi, you always got to remember, you have to, like, preemptively air dodge where you think they're going to attack you. Because otherwise, like, if you're ready to react, you got hit already. But that's just a Wi-Fi thing. Offline, that's a completely different story. The other thing too is just like you don't want to be using clay pigeons to combo break yourself out of things, especially against young Link, because by the time you toss it, he's already probably gone. Like the only time he's going to get hit by clay pigeon when you're trying to combo break with it is like if he's just jumping nonstop right into it and he's just not paying attention to what you're doing. So he's been brain dead. Okay, maybe that might work, but this young Link at least had an idea about positioning and all that stuff, and you really weren't utilizing Gunman to your full advantage to kind of trap his projectiles and control the neutral against him. And then also just like all the issues with just like trying to use roll as a movement option. It's just too slow. Okay, let's get to part 2 of this. So this is going to be the last Young Link breach. After this, we're going to be seeing some Greninja. Don't forget, guys, if you guys are interested in seeing my deck up matchup chart, we are still doing that sub goal for that. So you do need 5 more subs, or actually, if there's another one, it might correct us up to 6. And then we'll actually show off what my thoughts are on all of Duckman's matchups. Yeah, see, like, oh, that was terrible. So first of all, so that can was way too far away for back throw to ever reach that. So you just need to know your percents for that. Don't get hooked on like always doing throw to can. It has to work and it has to make sense to do it. Like there, you grabbed him right there. Forward throw into dash attack or forward throw into fair would put him off stage, and you just reset your can, and you have a nice ledge trap scenario where you could easily just hit 70% on or just kill them if you know how to just edge guard Young Link properly. So that's a big drop right there. And just like a misjudgment in what you should be doing. So with the fact that the gunman didn't go down off of one arrow, that automatically tells you that arrows are stale. So if you want to use clay pigeon tactics as he's Hunter, hunt! Thanks for the sub. So we're getting back on there. Okay, yeah. So with the way that it's set up, if we get 4 more subs, I will do the whole matchup chart. But, wait, think. Send thanks. But, what is that? I have never seen that parkour thing before. But where was I? Let me go back here. Okay. So we had... Yeah, okay. So the gunman. So when you see the gunman get hit and he doesn't go down, that tells you that the arrow is stale. So if you ever see him like falling down while charging an arrow, that means you can automatically throw a fast clay pigeon and it'll go through it and hit him. So it's a good thing to keep in mind. To the happy face. Gotcha. Thanks, dude. What's up, Bucks? Yeah, see, that was a good punish, but he actually did mess up his execution a little bit there. Yeah, so that was a pretty big drop right there. Just like talking about like recognition of the situations that you're in. Let's go back. So yeah, basically the second he commits to fair there, that means you can just go ahead and hit him. But he did get himself into shield there. Actually, it did look like he tried to punish that, but that's probably a Wi-Fi issue. Yeah, whenever you're in a situation like this, so like he whiffed his up air, I mean his up smash, and like over here, you're by yourself, you don't have any cans or anything like set up at all, just set up. In this case, since you're against Young Link, his boomerang's already out, so he can't toss out another one. So good idea to set up a gunman over here, so that way if he does an arrow, that won't really do anything. And then pretty much like you have that to play around, and then you'll be able to set up like your can guaranteed. Oof. Yeah, I don't know if he could have shielded there. Again, that just kind of shows the importance of just knowing where you're setting up. And also, if you whiff an F smash, you're not going to be able to punish with anything else. That's just a fact. If you whiff your F smash, go ahead and set up, or just be ready for him to do something and then punish. Don't try to go for immediate punish. Which doggo? Oh, this is Tyten. Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is like right over there, that's something that you can't really do against Young Link, is that he was just kind of like trying to slowly approach him from the air, and Young Link's really good at doing anti-airs, like not only with like the myriad of projectiles that he can control, but it's just like up air is really good. That's just going to deny everything that you want to do as duck hunt, and then his up smash is really good too. And really good up tilt as well. So you don't really want to land on top of him unless like you have a read on, or like you have a confirmation on how he's specifically setting up against you. See, like right there, if he just put up a gunman, then he would have been free to knock the can back. But then again, like Young Link's always going to be trying to control your jumps, so that's the reason why you don't really want to jump into that. That was a good snipe too. That was really good that he did that second nair. If he didn't do that, Tom could have just pinged in and blew him up. Yeah, also there he didn't like catch the drift. See, like that point there, that back throw can actually worked. Because if he did a forward throw, unless he DI'd in, fair would not have connected there. So the back throw can makes a little bit more sense, especially with like the platform plate mismatches. Yeah. Just over there at ledge, he just kind of wasn't paying attention to what the young Link player was doing. That was the main reason why I got hit by fair. So you always got to have your patience there. So from where young Link was standing right there, yeah, he actually could, if he detonated that clay pigeon, the particles most likely would have hit his foot. Because like this thing goes out like somewhere right about there. Yeah, like actually after he stuck his foot out at the end, I think if he preemptively hit that, he might have been able to combo into that clay pigeon, back aired with duck hunt, comboed into that can. That would have been really sick if he planned for that. Yeah, the other thing to remember is this. You can hit back all of Young Link's projectiles. I think that was after he got hit by the boomerang. Yeah, so like right there, if he just did a fair, I mean, first of all, he would have just like flat out beat him out because it would have come out before the boomerang did. But even if the boomerang did come out, the fair is going to hit the boomerang back, so then that way you don't even deal with the boomerang. Like remember, all your attacks will beat out every single projectile that Youngling has. So like fair will beat out the boomerang, fair will beat out the arrow, and if you fair at the correct time, you're gonna grab the bomb. So those are all things to remember. Like you can use your attacks very well against his projectiles. But yeah, see, look, the gunman didn't go down at all, and then he wasn't able to get hit by projectiles. And then Youngling still approached him, so all he had to do was wait for Youngling to get here, and then he could have like pivot grabbed him, just like faired him. He could have also like done a down smash or F smash if he really wanted to. Yeah, a little bit off on his aiming there, but the right idea. That's the other thing too that I've noticed is that Tom doesn't have particularly strong ledge guarding, so that's something that he's gonna have to work on. So I don't think he's in the chat. Oof. Yeah, the thing with Duck Hunt is like, at least with that one trap that Young Link had, that was actually really good. Yeah, I'm gonna, let's see, from there, let's check something real quick. So what I'm trying to see is, could he have nared it? So his paw and foot sticks out like that in the back. I wouldn't say it's guaranteed, but there might have been a chance that Strong Nair might have been able to clank with that boomerang. Because it might have hit this zone or it might have hit this zone. Actually, yeah. Once it gets to part 2, then the boomerang would have definitely clanked out. Okay, yeah, no, it's definitely worth going for Nair in that situation. And then the other thing, too, that's worth noting, at least in terms of dealing with the boomerang, is that the boomerang actually cannot go through Duck Hunt in these positions. It can just hit his head, but it cannot hit the paws. It can only just hit the head of the dog and then probably the head of the duck, but the duck might be in the Z-axis here, so maybe the duck can't be hit. So this is actually probably a pretty good way to deal with boomerang overall, since the foot itself cannot be hit. The legs are actually like the last part of the hurt box there. Yeah, because like if he did that, it would have clanked out the boomerang, it would have extended the strong hitbox, and then that probably would have stuffed out Young Link from doing his own Nair too. So overall, that would have been the move to do. Oh, and then he dropped the bomb there. That's too bad. Yeah, Nair's like the only hitbox that's weird. I think the rest of Duck Hunt's hitboxes at least make sense. Except up air's hitbox kind of sucks. It's weird because it sucks and it doesn't suck at the same time. But yeah, so that's the conclusion of the Young Link games. Basically, kept himself too grounded, jumped way too often, didn't use the gunman well enough and the can well enough to really block his projectiles on the ground. Because if he did that, he actually controlled where his projectiles were going for the most part. It's just that you weren't really taking into consideration how much the gunman and Can were really controlling things, and you just basically just played into Youngling's hand every single time. Although you were preventing him from doing something, you jumped into the one area where Youngling could do something, which was jumping above your gunman and like jumping above your Can too. So that was something that you need to change. For Wi-Fi specifically, you also needed to make sure that you air dodge preemptively for those situations, because otherwise, like he's always gonna be able to edge guard you. At least when you're playing on Wi-Fi. Offline, you'll be able to react to that a lot easier. And then, yeah, you just kind of have to be a little bit more aware of your whiff zones, and don't go for those the hard reads with those smash attacks, just because it leaves you so open, and especially against a young character like Youngling, where he could probably land where the second hit of F smash is, and he can probably jump again before you can even hit him with the second hit. So you really don't want to be relying on those against Youngling. I just realized, wasn't I recording that whole time, or was it one of those weird things where? Okay, I have no idea why it does this, but every now and then it's just like the